Shit about to be lit, chat. What's up, Dream Cheese? Yes, sir. Here we go. Don't tell me it's gonna lag on me.
What's going on, Fortnite fam? Man, I missed y'all so much. It is great to be back. Here we are, major number 3, the last stop before the Global Championship. Man, it is crazy to think we are almost at the end. It feels like we kind of just got started, but here we are, major number 3, that last chance for many trios to secure that spot to the Global Championship. And it is stressful, to say the least, but there's 2 people that I know that can keep my nerves nice and calm, nice and chill. It's Kelly.
So the appraisal education and the original level 2 from the family acquired in 1949. Sure. Hello? You staying for dinner?
No. My folks waiting.
You're selling the book? Oh, your dad hates it. Only because your dad loved it. I'm replacing it with a brewerage.
I'm actually sound squeaky.
Oh, you should have Ed sell it. He's kind of killing it. And Carrie tell you he's carrying these Spike Lee's vineyard collections somewhere. Thatcher will be more discreet. I don't intend to discuss the sale with your father. It's none of his concern. The Thornton is a doctor. It's in
So you're putting the funds from the sale into a separate account and buying the new piece for Dad with Dad's money?
Some 1950s housewife pay, who's collecting an allowance from her husband to get her hair done.
Can you hear it?
My favorite piece to alleviate more cash flow issues. So don't give me that face.
Dream Chase, you in the chat? Can you hear it, bro?
Sorry. I didn't hear it. I was up there. We were living with Glenn and this, and I'm so tired.
When I asked for your help, I thought you would write a check. You want to pull off an art heist.
Look, I didn't find why your divorce is so messy. Because, well, I have always believed that women are entitled to our secrets. But your father is also entitled to his peace of mind. And if he sees such a big transaction, he won't settle for your vague answers.
Go. Okay. Okay.
Use the debit. United Garage policy rights to interrupt your tranquility.
Suppose I didn't notice.
Right. Perhaps I want to talk to you. Yeah, Carrie and I have been together for a decade, and out of utmost respect, I'm here to
How do you think it's outdated to ask a man for his daughter's hand in marriage? Antiquated, she says.
Yeah, but we value tradition, so.
Well, prolonged tradition. The sooner it went on to the father, a symbolical coin for his blessing, which looked brilliant. I thought it was nice touch.
Okay. Oh.
I suppose you're moving over her. A little baby, I think you will open the bedroom with 2 kids and child credit. Oh, sorry. No, I'm just. You should be telling. Well, maybe official.
Yeah, my parents are listening too, and it is about kids out of wedlock. We weren't actually found.
So, I think most people they slack off in training. And it's important to never let a dog forget his place. If it's personal. Diligence.
A little positive reinforcement works too. This
Well, I guess that's what community started into the family.
I have something to tell you. Learn how to explain.
I don't think that'll go. It's really-
all the way up to S. You can get some incredible items, including the hero items. It's quite easy actually going up from C all the way to S. There's various things you can do throughout the map to be able to increase your hero rank to be able to unlock these caches, much like the Sprite Shines right here.
Yeah, and I've always kind of loved to look at Fortnite Competitive as a game of time investment, right? In these hero ranks, kind of having this list of tasks you can do or quote unquote invest time into, and then at the end of it, being able to reward some of that time that you spent with loot. Love stuff like that around the map.
You know what else I love, Vivid? It's mobility. Guys, there is so much, you too. There is so much mobility in this season. I mean, do you guys remember Grim Gate? You guys remember being able to dash? We are back at that again, but this time from a little sprite with a little mask. Who is he? Someday I hope to find out.
Yeah, the Sprite Dash that we have right here. What I really like about this item, and that is kind of missing from a lot of the other items in the game, is that it's actually an AoE item. So it's just one person has to hold it, but then everyone in the trio is able to actually get the benefit of those dashes, similar to the Grim Gate, like you said. But my favorite item, Vivid, is definitely the Surf Cube. What we've seen from aggressive WQ players in the early to mid game with that the Surf Cube is absolutely devastating.
Yeah, of course, Surf Cube very, very good, but I can almost guarantee you all of our trios, all of our players today will easily replace that item with the Mist Form if they can go ahead and find it. And if you can get 3 of these on a trio, it makes your rotates just that much easier, right? Go ahead and you think you should place yourself in the next zone, but it's like, oh, well, let's think about Fortnite Competitive. Usually when you make those rotates with some of these mobility items, you take so much damage. Not this time around, because it's going to make it so that way you actually cannot take damage, which just creates so many incredible moments.
Meta defining. I cannot wait to see the Mist Form in action. And when I talk about meta defining, there's also 2 names I have to kind of pair with that. It's Monster Deface, Jacob PR. They're your casters. That's right. We got a lot to look forward to this season. The hero ranks really shaping up a whole new dynamic for Fortnite right now. And then this loot pool, nothing like we've seen this year.
Yeah, everything's kind of been shaken up this season around, even including some of our teams. A lot of our top teams might have stayed the same, but we have a huge mix-up as you continue to go down that roster list, even in today's group stages. And so you kind of look at teams like A-Port, AJ, Koya. When are they going to qualify? Is it a game win? Is it consistency? But I'm looking at some of those underdogs, Monster. When are they going to finally punch their ticket to finals?
It's going to be tough, right? We're talking about a season essentially that we've had limited set lobby opportunities, right? If you weren't out there really putting your nose into the scrim scene, then you will be coming out the gate struggling here. So we'll see who's been putting in that work here as we're starting to look up and gear up here for just the first group stages. I mean, but it's obvious, Jacob, we got a couple favorites, like you mentioned, Acorn, of course. And, you know, again, it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, it definitely is. We kind of look at those big game-winning teams. I'm also looking at the consistency. Oliver OG, history has it on his side. Power, Blue Zonda, I got to think they got it as well. But there's so many more teams to break down. See what those teams are.
Incredibly insightful, and I agree, right? In case you maybe didn't know, we're playing for one of two things. Either a victory royale, which means, hey, you're good, you don't have to play anymore, next time we'll see you in the grand finals, or through consistency. That's what Jacob was talking about, right? So if we end the day in that we're making it through as well. Now let's bring up our lobby list. Who are we seeing here in group number 1? There's a lot of big names, and of course, little Timmy, look at the top left of your screen. Agers, Acorn, and Poison. They are competing here in group number 1, guys. I mean, good and can and once again should expect these guys to get a big royale, right? I mean, it's Poyo.
Yeah, 100%. Potentially uncontested over in Demon's Domain, but with these group stages, you never really know. And honestly, I always say that half of esports is the story, and who has a better story than Poyo, Acorn, and Agers? Both Poyo and Acorn, their duo mates at the end of last year, joining together, and when a lot of people kind of wrote them out, they go off and win Major 1, but then Major 2, a little bit of a step back, getting 5th place, which
King.
otherwise is
What's up,
absolutely
bro?
phenomenal. But from this trio, a little bit surprising, but we've seen this climb up from Poyo. In the play-ins, he got 165 eliminations just by himself. But everyone is looking to not just walk away with a win today, but they did to potentially walk away in first place for Major 3.
Get that like
I
from
mean,
me,
you're saying
y'all.
that everybody's kind of looking towards them. I'm wondering what this trio is looking forward to doing this major, right? Are they actually going to be going for that win right now? Is it kind of shifting their focus towards like the early game, right? And winning that early game engagement you were kind of talking about, going up against Peter Bott's trio, of course. Is that going to make it that much harder for them to kind of win? Are they kind of looking towards globals to kind of make sure they have an uncontested spot there? Who knows? But I can almost guarantee you today their focus will definitely be winning the game.
Man, I cannot wait. I'm sure we will see both of those trios in the grand finals. But first, I want to talk about another trio. Let's bring that lobby list back up once more. Center of your screen, Taki, Isho, and Vert. Now, obviously, like if you've been following this, you've heard the name Vert before. But what about Taki? What about Isho? How has this trio been performing up to this point?
I mean, they've honestly actually been performing quite well for a new trio. Vert going all the way back to 2019, even winning an FNCS 2020 solo championships for NA West. He's been a player for such a long time, now joined by Taki and Isho, relatively newer players. And since they've been joining up together, they've had some pretty good performances. 10th place in the last FNCS finals. And also big shout out to the players here recently signed by Soren Organization. And clearly after the performances that we've seen from them in the play-ins and just this season in general, I can understand why organizations are kind of turning their focus onto them. They have such great aggression early and mid-game. And honestly, I'm a little bit surprised about how aggressive they are, but it seems to be working out for them, being able to take down some pretty big teams recently.
Yeah, I mean, what a first showing, right? Making it to your first FNCS finals and then getting 10th place. There is so much to build on for that trio right there. I'm sure they're going to go ahead and make it in the grand finals today. I'm excited to see what they do there.
Oh my gosh, man. There's just so many names. There's just so many names. And, if you maybe didn't have a chance to watch EU earlier, you already know that this competition is crazy. And again, I'm just going to continue to stress this until like the final day of grand finals, okay? This is the last chance, okay? We need to make it to grand finals to try and secure a spot going to the global championship. However, one last trio to talk to you guys about as we bring up that live list one final time. And we take a look at page number 2. There's a trio on this second page that has not secured themselves a spot. And if they don't, I'm not going to globals, okay? It's Booga, it's Threats, it's Praise. Come on, man. Is it even globals without Booga, Kelly? Is it even going to be globals?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question, Zeke, and hopefully we find themselves in our top 5 list, and we've seen them quite close already. Booga and Threats have had some pretty good performances in Major 1 and Major 2, but just not close enough to be able to clutch out that global championship spot. Now joined, or I should say rejoined by Craze. They've had some pretty good performances so far, even taking down the likes of Poyo's trio during mid-game fights that we saw during the play-ins. They clearly have the aggression. They have a great drop spot landing over in Utopia City uncontested. We've already seen that they have some good placements throughout the Div Cups, but is that going to be enough for the grand finals?
Booga himself made it to 25 total FNCS finals, only ever missing out on one, trailing Kanata in that regard, right? He just consistently makes these finals. I'd be not surprised at all. In fact, I'll go ahead and say it's probably about a 99.9% chance that they go ahead and make it into the finals.
Why would you say that? Why would you curse them?
Because
you know what? That's not my script says that they're in the finals. So I'm going to stick to the script that I wrote. Guys, we're getting closer here to starting off the competition. I was kind of curious to get your thoughts. So obviously, again, this being that final chance to qualify, less spots through at grand finals. How do you guys feel that, like, where the players' headspace at, right? Like, there's been pressure before, but like now it's got to be more than ever.
I think due to the nature of these group stages and how players can win, whether that's victory royales or placements, I think that we're going to see potential heel-offs in games. And I mean, Vivid, I think that's something that we've kind of been seeing over the last few weeks.
I think just over the course of the day, there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve. This specific lobby has never happened before, so these teams are going to have to kind of learn in game number one what's going on around them and use it in the games following.
Adapt. Let's get into it, Fortnite fam. The competition kicks off right now.
We are here, Monster, at the precipice of game one of these group stages, FNCS Major 3. And one thing I got to really talk about and shine is there's 13 teams, even more so players that are looking for their first grand finals. Game one starts now. Let's get it.
Game one, check.
And this is where the story begins for some of those teams. Some of those players, Monster, over 13 of them, are looking to punch their ticket to the grand finals, continue their journey, and start what could be the birth of a new star player on the region.
Has to be, right? And again, very limited set lobby opportunities all season long. You know, these are their, for some, first chances to really go toe-to-toe at both of these draw spots. We saw early glimpses of what little areas will be contested. And most of those opportunities taking place for center map and leaning a little bit north to the west sides. Here, of course, we have a Flutter Frogs fight. Over on the opposite side, you got Liam already taking his kind of battle head-to-head with the opposite trio here. And they haven't gotten shields really to work with. There it is. I was going to say, what are they waiting for? But, of course, have to gather together for their slurp pegs. And now it's game time.
I said, what's that? 55, over half of the lobby, Monster. And resistance base is one of those spots contested. It's not easy to get an advantage. There's a lot of places to sneak around, a lot of nooks and crannies to hide. Boogeyman quick. They are missing about some HP, but Liam's going to be the first one to go down in the entire fight. This is not the way you want to start your game one.
Got to be careful. Let Twix fire. Packs the big punch, getting damage. You see it now, though. Players jumping into the box. K14 finding his tags, and they collapse quick on the opponents here. Playing gets rewarded with all the eliminations.
Good start.
And just like that, they clean things up here at the resistance base. And the zone's on top of them. This is a perfect start for their kind of initial kickoff. But remember, all that matters is a victory royale, right? You want to punch your way in and out of today's competition to go straight to the top.
Demon's domain, or I mean, the Fortnite community called Pollo's domain, Peterbot's domain. This is the contested fight that you know we've been seeing all off season long, but in the group stages, the teams kind of split into each respective groups. Aegis, Pollo, Acorn this time around are going to get it uncontested, and honestly, I don't know if that's good for the rest of the lobby, giving them a ton of time to formulate a plan, loot up, and then they get the extra superhero rank XP from that uncontested Demon's domain drop.
In some ways, it's like, just let it happen. It's inevitable, right? So we'll see them punching their way in and out. We'll have a lot to talk about that trio as we get into the grand finals weekend. But here in the group stages, it's nothing but another day in the office. That little fight going down right now, though. This is just outside of that resistance space. Furthermore, west here. Playground team seems to be a little lost in the action right now. Amen. Not sure where the shots are coming from. Keep yourself exposed like that.
You can kind of even see, judging by the loadout, there's some missing bits of utility. Some players only having ARs, no shotguns. This is a straight off-spawn, scrappy fight between these two teams. The timing is of the essence. We already saw the resistance base. The dust settles over there. They're moving up. If they hear this noise, you know as well as I do, Monster, invitation or not, they're like, hey, this is a third-party opportunity. This is for us to get that early game storm surge, so that way we can start to dictate our own game plan rather than kind of force to fight a team because the storm surge says so.
Things seem to be kind of simmering out here. Both trios likely contemplating of whether or not this is worth taking to the finish line right now. But it's up to the high ground team to go in and make that disengaged decision. For now, they're sitting, looking for opportunity. This turbulence is just kind of sitting idly, almost signaling to the team like, hey, look, we don't want to even leave from here. You know, you have a chance, run away. You gotta end this right now.
That's exactly what you said. The high ground team has the one with basically all the flexibility, all the choices in the world. No one's going to be able to disengage until they say so. But we're seeing a lot of these early game scuffles all around the map, even for some high places over towards Brutal Boxcars just on the outskirts. For Mako, Icy, box to box, hold with another team, and they have one of them separated. And that's why they're trying to bounce, take the 3v1 while they can. And even with shots coming in, that third party, you see a whole nother team on the eastern side of that Brutal Boxcars. Because the zone, something you mentioned early on, is pulling in this direction, mainly towards the north. This is going to be a priority position.
Yeah, Mako's Trio definitely needs some ammunition. They're going to look to finish up loop here. Should be all she wrote. There it is, the first knock. So Brutal Boxcar Trio is forced to retreat. And this is all because of that Eastern team having not put their influence in. I mean, Panda, Luke, and Venolex here, I guess, would have been full finished.
They're still going to be able to kind of get a little bit of control over towards Brutal Boxcars, but you're seeing how active the game is overall. From Outpost, rotating up to Kappa, Rise, Aviv, G-Money, just taking the fight to Darby, Silic, and their trio. Luckily, it looks like one of them might have been able to survive, and that's going to be the saving grace for that team over towards Kappa that lands there.
It's tough, you know, when you got a tier 1 team landing on you, and you're arguably in that upper echelon of tier 2. Very notable trio fight right there, so unfortunate for them. Aviv, G-Money, and Rise, of course, the team to look out for. Set to do well here. Another team, of course, to look out. Blake Diego, Oliver OG. Season after season, year after year now. Oliver continuing to show up at the final stages. I would, in the past, maybe put this as a team that could be a potential call, but now I think they're a shoo-in.
Yeah, I would agree with that one, especially since they're mainly getting into a lot of consistency. A lot of these tournaments, they're playing these games in a finals-esque style lobby, even though some of the tournaments, some of the scrims don't necessarily end up like that. They're just staying true to their focus. You go back on over towards Brutal Boxcars, get a little bit more busy. This year's have that shrine boss over here. You get a lot of superhero rank. You get a lot of different loot, ammo, med kits, minis, and the exotic weapon has a chance to drop. That's why you're seeing a lot of the focal point end up in this direction towards Brutal Boxcars. Because even if a team isn't necessarily getting it for themselves, they're looking to see what scraps are left behind.
Yeah, but let's be honest, the best way to, of course, earn those hero ranks, gotta take fights, find your damage. You kind of scrap by, of course, doing all the side objectives. My teams are going to look to fight first, and Mako, Icy, and Boyd find out the hard way here. As Northern lands on it, and Sandman comes from a side angle with 20 here. And they seem to have, I guess, the momentum in their side. Yeah, look at this. Mako down to 10 HP, cut off and finished. And that's the power of the Sprite Dash there. You know, most players try to preserve them, right? You know, you don't want to burn them off too soon, but you play like that, let's see, of course, showing how to do it, how to get it done.
Yeah, almost like a no-brainer sacrifice. If I use these two charges and it gets me elimination, definitely going to be worth. And that's 20. Gordon, Sandman, they led up the Supernova Academy uncontested. So you see, as soon as any team is uncontested towards Supernova Academy, because of that rail that launches you over towards Brutal Boxcars, it inevitably gives you a free shot, a free opportunity to fight the team without them noticing, and that's exactly what they're going to do. Even with one elimination, they got full control. But still, all around Brutal Boxcars, you're seeing this, Mad and Monster, and their trio getting these eliminations, cleaning up what is left on these outskirts. And if not for the points, it's for the loot that they weren't able to get early on.
Surprised they don't even see Void there, so he's kind of laying low right now. They've just been hunted down. No breaks given to them. Madden, Liam, and Drizzy was that Eastern team fighting on the mountains. It was just a matter of time before they kind of rotated through. So see what all, of course, resulted from that. Uga, Bretts, and Craze. Uga looking to make his, what was that Vivid pointed to at the top of the show? 26 or so FNCS Grand Finals here. To come. Very big time for of course, Uga. One of the most consistent year after year, season after season. Just doesn't give up.
Yeah, it's the most in this lobby at 25 currently. Agers is actually going to be the second most with 22, along with Acorn with 22, seeing a lot of experience in this lobby. As the zone pulls and kind of centers up Utopia in the middle, that kind of gives them all the flexibility in the world. They don't have to rotate. They know from the north, the south, and the east, the teams are going to have to rotate into them. So they just kind of set up their triangle surge bases over towards Utopia to get as much of that.
I can't read it right now, though, bro.
Ishu, Taki, Bert. They land just towards the north, east of that Utopia city. And they typically are going to use this geyser. And instead of just once, because people are wondering right now, Monster, like, why? They're already in the sky. What are they waiting for? You double use this geyser. It gives you extra height. You're able to use it to get farther in towards the zone. So when we tune into them later on, Monster, I expect them to see probably center zone set up, ready to go.
That's one of those techniques carrying over from the last season. So you can see the optimization here coming through. One thing to think about, I know Kelly was hinting at a potential increase in heal-offs, but we also are seeing an increase in teams playing the Storm, right? The Mistform gives you that much more freedom to kind of play around and battle really inside of the zones. I'm thinking we'll see a lot more Storm sickness, if anything, come the end game. But give it a second there. Vert Eshrotaki on the hunt once again, finding out Liam there. It's going to be one of two left in this trio.
Almost makes you wonder, did they just land on him from that double geyser? Probably so far away from his team. You see it on the western part of the mini-map. They're slowly, surely rotating in. Yeah, that's exactly what they did. They landed directly on his surge base while Ishu just shooting him out from underneath. I don't think he stood a chance with the way they did that one.
That might be a little play they're giving away for grand finals right there. I don't know if I'd, run that playbook so soon here in a group stage, but one thing to think about, showing you all the vulnerabilities of playing so far apart from your teammates.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Medmus
Smoke's
already down, and this is kind of exactly what you were alluding to, how deep and how long they do fight into the zone for Broken, Void, King. They kind of need this situation. They didn't necessarily get the most surge to start this game off, even while contested. So now they try to feel forced in this situation to try to fight for it. 2v1, pressuring the box. King is able to get in, landing a good shot and continuing to pressure out, but damage is still there. But it's still a 3v1 monster. The bait and switch, they're making sure that the first point guy going into that box is going to be the most healthy, and that's why Broken is now taking the lead, charging in, pressure's there, and there goes that full trio down and out.
Excellent pre-fires by BJ, but not enough to hold it down. And what a huge elimination. The first Mistforms now falling out of their inventory into the hands of Void and company. That's going to be a massive power exchange for them. And that Acorn Pollo and Ager seems like got full control of things on the other side of the Foxy here. Again, this is about as ideal as it gets right now. Cat material loadout is natural high ground. And then you see a loadout perfectly situated right now for an end game. So it's all going to come down to fishing for damage here and just staying consistent now.
Sitting here looking in the mini map, I'm like, okay, Acorn has the island. You got to imagine they have them down. Where is his team? Nobody is on the island with them. They have so much separation. They're covering up so much space in this zone that they're able to kind of do what they want. Agers is on the north side, west of Foxy Floodgates. You got Acorn on the island. Let's go on hunting. Where is Pollo? He's on the other side of Foxy Floodgates on the mountain. So they have the west covered. They have the east covered. And then they have Acorn sitting in the middle, ready to help whoever needs it at any given time. This is just a perfect kind of scenario for what looks like the Major 1 champions.
Yeah, most definitely. And we saw a quick look at everyone's loadout. I mean, they are big chilling for this end game right now. Again, the name of the game for them is just hang out, get a little bit of damage, and I mean, they have full control of the Foxy's entire domain. Just not too far off, Hound. Lila Larson right now at the Prime City. Lila whiffing a couple shots, but this is a team that already has a trio wipe under their belt.
You kind of see them looking off in the distance. In the main map, you see that little chest there where one team's already on it. Just north, you see the little green arrows, the second team. They're just kind of waiting for their superhero rank to go up. That's going to unlock the ability for them to open up that chest, get whatever loot that they have, kind of pick and choose if they already have a full loadout. So you're seeing kind of proactive plays coming out from some of these teams, kind of trying to box up and steal the loot, even if they don't have access it with their superhero rank yet.
Superhero rank is going to unlock you a lot of goodies from this end game, but hold up. Mafia already pushing up here. Woods, Minty, and Ski got to be careful right now. This team's looking at full collapse. Very interesting base. I'm not sure I've ever seen a fight start a base like that. We'll find out what the play is here shortly.
Just judging by the low surge, no eliminations, I believe that was the team that lands over the top eastern portion of the map. So instead of using that time to rotate in and get storm surge, they were focusing on that primary position towards the center of the zone. But that kind of leaves a hole in their game plan. So even though they're only 73 above the damage threshold, that can turn in the blink of an eye as soon as the next couple of zones do pull. If they don't accumulate damage, Darcy goes Blizzard and Zoom as well, 47 above. It's a small feeling of confidence knowing you're at least not taking damage, but in the back of your mind, you know, I got to start finding, I got to start hitting these shots. Otherwise, it's going to be me forced with my back up against the wall just to push the first team we see.
Yeah, got to take accountability if you're not finding the tags that matter. It's the small decisions and opportunities that change your entire Fortnite game experience for sure. Well, let's jump into some action right now. Dargo having Silic here. Have a team on top of them, but one kind of looking, fishing for damage. They just want to get a few tags in, right? Kind of ease up this pressure that's coming from the Storm Surge here shortly for Mikey's trio. And Crackly, they don't want to be too rash either. Kind of waiting for the team to come to them, and it seems like everyone has decided to jump into the blender. And folding pretty quickly here. 75 damage above right now. Tries to retreat now for Focade. They want to heal. Kind of forced to right now.
Not necessarily in the worst spot. Moments ago, they were above the damage threshold, much better than Dargo Havoc and Silic were 273, which is more than a full shield elimination. Crackly probably looking to take some of their focus, but Jargo used that misform to try to reposition, but he's still trying to go on the offensive. No opportunities for him there, but they're trying to play calm, cool, collected. Even as they're so far down the damage threshold, they're trying to play as calculated as possible because they cannot give any big shots up to any one of these two teams because then it could be all over.
I mean, answer this, Jacob. Can you misform and block a Storm Surge tag? Like, have we seen that tested to some degree?
The timing on that one would be actually pretty sage. I want to say it's possible because I've seen that misform mitigate every single ounce of damage so far, but
All right, say no more.
and they're still falling below that damage threshold. But with the Outlaw Shotgun, all it takes is one shot to turn the tides of not only the fight, but your damage threshold. But that's not going to come into play this game, at least. That full trio is going to get wiped by Jargo, Silic, and Havoc. They're going to be able to live to tell the tale and hopefully get in the zone sooner rather than later.
That's how you handle being below the surge. Well played by them. Very few teams would make it out of that type of situation alive. I mean, you have three trios all on top of each other for Smouse, Electro, and King Beast. Oh, no. A lot of damage coming through. It's a world of trouble here on the horizon for Smells. But the tag, this is the crucial one that mattered there, but boxes up the team. Okay, almost got out of there with the tag you needed.
Oh, that was a great play. That was getting him to cancel the med kit. Active Storm Surge. That's exactly what you got to do, Monster, in situations like that. You almost can tell if you're above the damage threshold by about 200, 300, 400, and you know a team is recklessly pushing you as far away from the zone as they have, you kind of get a semblance of, hey, maybe they're low on surge. If we could just survive long enough, that will do the work for us, and that's exactly what just happened.
Rise of VG money now. Outside the safe zone here. I'm going to say, forced to kind of make this rotate here and now. A little bit earlier than the other teams who find themselves in better positioning. Comes the rest of the trio now.
Now we're seeing both the dashes being used. You know they have the misform in their back pocket, just kind of combining both methods of rotation to try to make their way in. But it's just as they reach the end, hey, the full trio, Fluga's trio as well, maybe even one other, all focusing in this direction. Even though they're surviving for now, they are burning through a lot of materials.
Yeah, for sure. You saw for a second there, Rise switch that med miss in case things got super dire there, but not forced to use it. And that was Threats and Fluga's trio kind of kicking off that lobby focus for a second there. Blake Olivero, G. Diego find themselves in a zone pool. Not bad at all. A very short distance rotate for them now. You see the marker come out. They're looking to get a piece of that high ground. Look at them. Well positioned above the threshold as far as overall damage is concerned. And no healing. So really just showing that they've manipulated and played this lobby very consistently thus far. Great start to this end game now for them. Agers, Polio, Acorn, though, not looking good for the team we hyped up as Agers bails his team out of a terrible situation here. Siphon kicks in for everyone.
Yeah,
They're
fortunate
back.
enough. Yeah, that was Dave, Boji, and Jack that just went down. And this is where I'm talking about. Sometimes you may think you're safe, but somebody's creeping around any one of these walls can turn that one through the Threats phrase. They wasted no time trying to get in the zone. They used the combination of those dashes that we saw. And as soon as they reached the edge, they're just looking back, trying to hold out every single one of these teams. And you're seeing exactly why. They're barely above that damage threshold. And so they're focusing any single person that they can.
Yeah, you can see that, again, they're only a B rank at best, right? So not too much, opportunity for them to really hit those hero chests and kind of get the big misforms and kind of those upgrades. So we'll see how they play with their more or less scrappy loot. For Bila, TK, and Larson, though, it's looking pretty tight here. They've got options and opportunities. Fights breaking down all on the outskirts of VG Money and Rise continuing to push aggressively here through their rotate. They haven't caught a break. These teams that have landed on them, but defense looking very, very well. This form, I'm trying to pull that out. I was going to say you don't want to be in between all these boxes. Smart play for Ravid there.
Basically in an island rotating through that one, all the way from Outpost Enclave as well. They got to have one of the farthest rotations in the lobby so far. And to be able to find this much success, hopefully it doesn't run out, because another far pull. Almost the entirety of this lobby has to rotate all the way towards Shining Shafts from the east to the west. And that's what you're hoping. You have some sort of mobility, whether it's the Dad Sprite, the Surf Cube, or that Mistform.
Yeah, those teams on the move now. The VG Money and Rise, though. My gosh, are they smashing through this lobby right now? Another team falls beneath them, just cracking under pressure here in the end game, recharging up these dashes now. Might be the last of what they had left from the dash right there. Rex Buga and Craze also ready to kind of go here.
Almost looks like they're waiting for cheeky opportunities like that. Larson getting tagged up as he makes his way towards the zone. Agers continuously looking back, 700 damage above. They're seeing two teams struggle to make their way in. And the Menda's smoke is a huge sign of weakness as Void Blue takes a ton of damage, forced to pause there in his step. He's not even at the zone just yet. Lucky for him, Power is there, but that luck is run out. Forced to abandon. Power getting chipped down. Xander cannot lend a helping hand, or at least not just yet. Jackson is going to get taken down as well. The firing squad from Polio's, Acorn, and Agers claim another one.
Violet, TK, and Larson getting busy here on the outskirts of the zone once again, just opting to stay on these outer edges, wait for teams to kind of come to them for that cheeky damage here. Plenty of time to fight here and now, but no, they're just going to chill out, go and replenish these dashes. Meanwhile, high ground's taking shape right now. Hound, Aiden, and Krillian will be the first to go ahead and situate up for this endgame here. Look at the commitment from the metal right now. So they want to go ahead and hold this height take.
And this could be right now Carillian's first FNCS Grand Finals appearance if they could somehow clutch up a win. Aiden and Hound, they play duos. They have the chemistry. They have the history on their side, and they have the high ground as well. Ninth zone, you got to be careful. That misform could change things at a moment's notice, but 61 below the damage threshold. Threats continuously looking for opportunities from 8 to 44 down to 40. It's just a teeter-totter of emotions running through these players, but it finally slows down as they get 100 above. That's going to be a big find for them. Craze gets the elimination on the 20.
And you saw misform falls there as well. So here goes. The tier 1 teams now starting to pick up those key items that can really change the endgame dynamic here. Violet, TK, and Larson, though, opting to play the low ground here. So far, this strategy has not gone astray for them. They have played perfect rotations here, but starting to fall behind now. The zone's going to look to condense very, very fast. Hound, Curly, and Aiden have given themselves a lot of space to the high ground here, kind of avoiding this form. Retakes here for the trios, but it'd be just a matter of time. Boy, from the Agers starting to cook up here. The last we saw them, they were looking pretty desperate, but they have clawed their way right back into this game right now.
And you're seeing the beauty and action of that Demon's Domain. He's able to get the shield medallion back on up with the big pot 100, but a VG Money Rise, they're on the hunt. That's Bylon. They were able to get a knock onto one, but Bylon's just trying to backtrack in towards the zone, give himself some time to work with, especially since now they've been focused out. Time for him to make that decision for TK. Do I get the revive? Do I not? And it looks like he's going to have to continue this one by himself relatively because he's so far away from Bylon. I'm not sure they can reunite at this moment.
Here goes a fight for high ground. Oliver OG and Diego go for it. Carillion, Pound, and Aiden lose the high ground for a second here. Diego, Blake, and Oliver, the more experienced trio, managed to time it. Pound, the force of the low ground here. So close, yet so far from a victory royale. Now they're going to have to fight for the low ground. G-Money denies that opportunity, though. Carillion falls. Aiden falls. All up to Hound. Meanwhile, Pollo, Acorn Majors, token in hand now. And they're taking full advantage of that misform play. Men misplay in the zone there. This is all starting to collapse now, Jacob.
This is just a chaotic endgame. Everybody's just getting destroyed by this zone. It went up the mountain, down the side. So if you weren't planning ahead, you're probably back in the lobby watching all this one play out as how he lost his teammates. He lost the high ground. But he gained an opportunity to tell his story here late into the game. Even with Vert getting cleaned up, a VG Money Rise, they continue to steamroll through trio after trio here.
I mean, these are big points right now for Pollo, Acorn, and Agers. Kings of the low ground now. Oliver OG and team come down. They're trying to get a piece of the action here, looking to seal up the win here, but no team has really given resistance to Pollo and Acorn down on the low ground. Rise of even G-Money, though, starting to fall apart here, playing as a duo, hit to hit right now. It's all going to come down to timing here and now. If they misplay this, they can still lose this game. Oliver OG taking that unfortunate damage from the storm here, but Pollo is cooking on the low ground. Look at them wrapped up right now.
All the Saints basically a 3v3 with a duo left alive, but now there's two duos still running around, but one of them does get taken out. That's Rise. G-Money no more. Agers goes for play backside of the zone, but he does not find any success there. Scrambling all around. Diego's trying to put the pressure on to Agers. They have heal off, possibility staying high, but Blake goes down, but it's going to be a trade. Agers falls. Oliver OG turns around, gets the elimination. Him, Blake, and Diego have just qualified for the Major 3 finals.
I guess we hyped them up for good reason. We said they were going to be a shoot-in, and hey, Oliver OG flexing what all that hard work and practice can do for you in an FNCS lobby. This is just a kickoff. The win means you go straight to grand finals, and he'll be seeing another with Diego there too. What a game to go and kick this one off, Jacob.
Yeah, we saw a lot of our heavy hitters playing low ground throughout the course of that game. And there was only two teams that even played for height. Diego, Blake, and Oliver OG was the second team, and they were the ones who solidified that victory royale and granted themselves a spot into the Major 3 Grand Final. Zeke, Kelly, Vivid, I know it's only the first game, but what are your thoughts?
Yes, Blake. Yes, Blake. That's what I like. That right there. That's what I like to see. Oh my gosh, they secured themselves a spot in the grand finals of Major number 3, and they will look to compete for one of the spots for the global championships. Oh my gosh. Looking at Diego's inventory there at the very end, bro, they've got nothing, and they still come out on top. I was scared, guys. I'll admit, I looked over when we swapped to the Pollo POV and then like 15 elim. I was like, well, yeah, that's fine. Game number 1, we can give it to him. And then Blake, Oliver OG, Diego Play said, no, hold on, Zeke, just wait, just watch.
Yeah, a great high take from them as well as you're watching right here. Just very clean, very smooth, and it's showcasing what those capes can do. Oliver OG, Blake, and then Diego just playing the high ground so well, not playing too aggressively. I think a lot of players with these capes like to drop down, try and grab a bunch of refreshes, and we can see how low Diego is on mats here. But they don't fret. They play it smooth and safely, and they know it's a 3v2. Even against the likes of Pollo and Agers, you just have to play patiently, and that's exactly what we saw from this trio.
Incredible timing there for Blake, Oliver, and Diego, right? Usually when we have a meta like this where there's so many mobility items that kind of make it easy for you to go up for the high ground, we have to see those high ground teams kind of separate themselves with a bunch of, space between them and the second hyper right there. They slipped up just a little bit. Hound's Trail on the high ground got a little bit too close to that second layer, and Blake, Oliver, OG, and Diego instantly took advantage.
Oh, man, I cannot wait to see them compete in the finals. It's so sick. Now, of course, I know what you want more. First, a short break. When we return, we pick back up with game number 2. So, stay tuned.
Going deep, I'm in the zone. You about to go harder than how to go. When the lights shine bright, that's my show. When I can see the glow, I'm gonna make it. Whoa, forget it. The crowd, you wanna spit it. Take shots, don't miss it. If you miss, you gon' regret it. What fuck the crowd? No, I'm running it out. I built them like a pharaoh.
Hit that like, Jack.
You shadow, been burning through these battles. No weakness in my body, need to know you better have somebody. Already, consume the patty, it's plenty. I leave a penny for thoughts about how I live. Turn up the track, going deep. I'm in the zone. You know I'm about to go. Harder than how to go. When the lights shine bright, that's my show. You can see the glow. I'm gonna make it. No, it's a rap, got the match built like a pro. You know the lights go. Harder than audio. When the lights shine bright, that's my show. You can see the glow. I'm gonna make it. No, me off the top, no way. I came and called my name. I gave my life into my place on everything that I claim. Nothing ever could replace me. These out, straight ass on the floor. This is not a ball. I'm above it all. Start I see my glow. Where you supposed to go? Go see on the low, can't lose the time to go. Leave me in the zone. I take your mind and then I switch the soul. All on the track, going deep. I'm in the zone.
Killing it.
That's my show. When I can see the glow, I'm gonna make it. No, they love my whole steady. They got to listen, told you this ain't the thing. Answer the call, prove this once and for all. They wish we would've never seven nights, I never fall. No cattle, the go nowhere is silent. Go out and set my body, cut them off, they yucky slots. Already, I consume the petty. The bitch is 2020, the Leo eyes, finish. Turn up the track, going deep, I'm in the zone. You know I'm about to go, harder than how to go. When the lights shine bright, that's my show. When I can see the glow, I'm gonna make it. Whoa, got the match feel like a pro. You know the legends go, harder than audio. When the lights shine bright, that's my show. When I can see the glow, I'm gonna make it. Whoa, track going deep, I'm in the zone. You know I'm about to go, harder than how to go. When the lights shine bright, that's my show. When I can see the glow, I'm gonna make it. Whoa.
Welcome back, everyone, to the FNCS. We just wrapped up game number 1, and man, it was a wild one. Of course, there's a couple things that happened in that game, like, I don't know, Acorn Ages and Poyo just going absolutely ham in that game. Oh my gosh. What was their total? How many eliminations did they end up with? Because again, we kind of went into those final few moments, and again, when we jump over to Poyo, and I'm like, bro, this guy's just got it all. He's got Medallion. This is an easy GG, right? They don't manage to get the Victory Royale, but guys, these guys are 100% in first place as far as consistency is concerned.
You know, I've been watching their streams over the last few weeks and through the play-ins, and something that Acorn said during one of these games where in first moving, he's like, oh, everyone stays to the front of zone. You need to change the meta. And I've kind of noticed that when they are on the low ground, they actually kind of stay towards the side, maybe even in the middle, where they allow a lot of these other teams to kind of rotate in front of them. That's why they're able to get so many eliminations, and not until they're kind of aware of where everyone else is on the low ground do they push for that front zone. So I'm loving these adjustments. I'm loving the awareness that this has. And that obviously comes from Acorn being one of the smartest IGLs in all of Fortnite. And to have him with Poyo and Agers, these incredible fraggers. The only thing that hurts me is that we got to see some dig on dig crime. Of course, Acorn and Oliver OG. You know when the organizations go up against each other, it's a bittersweet moment. But what a great moment that was, Vivid.
I mean, you want to talk about moments, right? There was a game-defining moment for this year. It was definitely their eliminations on today, right? MDF and Jacob were talking about it. As soon as we kind of tuned into their POV at the start of that fight, they were like, whoa, these guys are not looking good at all. And then a couple seconds later, boom, they pick up the eliminations, they pick up the refresh, and they just went ahead with that momentum. I mean, 17 total eliminations, picking up that second place after our casters are kind of able to kind of tune in and be like, whoa, they're not looking so good. Turn it into that kind of a game. Incredible stuff in the trio.
Oh my gosh. And I mean, of course, on the other side though, right? You've got G-Money, you got Rise. They didn't get 17, but third place in 12 eliminations. Like, oh my gosh. I don't know what about this meta is making like these trios just say like, we're going to find every elimination. We're going to get every single one possible. But, you know, it is so exciting to see. And again, like, you know, all of these tiny little interactions, eliminating a player, taking their stuff, suddenly an impact, suddenly a new weapon, ammo, materials, whatever it is, like that moment to moment right now is just so unbelievably exciting to me, Kelly.
Yeah, that Sentinel pump in the right hands can just end up with a double-digit elimination, joined by G-Money and Rise. And we're able to kind of just navigate the low and mid ground so well in that end game, giving Aviv just all of the gas that he needed to go hard. And, you know, Rise, Money, they were a duo in that situation, but going and continuing to thrive in that situation where you don't really know the chaos that's going on around you. How are you going to be able to survive? Where should you be positioning yourself in the end game? Well, this duo right here handled that with just great ability.
And kind of checking out those highlights from that game right there, actually able to notice that it's actually around the same time, 7th zone, similar to kind of an Acorn trio where they look like they were not doing so well either. Right? We kind of tuned to Aviv earlier on throughout the game. It was like, well, they're racking up eliminations very, very easy. Yeah, but they weren't the trio with the most eliminations in that game, all things kind of considered, because they were so down bad in like 7-6 zone. They had to keep playing aggressive, but it just worked out for them.
They're trying to hit that F rank. They're like, all right, F rank, pretty good stuff to me. I did want to highlight quickly 5th place Hockey Isho and Bird. We kind of talked about them at the start of the show, right? And to see them kind of, you know, this is a really good starting place, right? We just need to keep this momentum moving forward. We just need to keep doing what we're doing. We can't, of course, make any mistakes, right? We make a, you know, we get sent back to lobby type situation and suddenly we can find ourselves out by, but this is a great start, Kelly.
Yeah, no, I am done that there's still so much opportunity for Taki, Isho, and Vert in all of our trios on these micro adjustments that we talk about, potentially look at what they did wrong over last game or last few games as we continue on throughout the day. So even though they're in 5th position to be in for group stages, I don't think that there's too much of a worry for them.
Kind of crazy as well how brutal this meta is. It keeps people alive for so long because of the meds, the mist form that's kind of available for all of our players. Makes those solo clutches really easy. It just makes placement points very, very hard to get as well. Lucas Trio not finding themselves in the top 10 on the consistency leaderboard, even though they were alive in like 11th zone. Super, super brutal.
Yeah, I mean, they're currently sitting in 13th place, right? So I like that you call that out. Let's keep our eyes on that over these next few games. Now, remember, we only have 5, which means we have 4 left to go before we close group number 1. So we can't skip a beat. Let's get ready to jump back into the action. MDF, over to you. Thank you. And yes, I think that we're seeing the early glimpse of how the new end games are going to start taking form in these higher tier lobbies, Jacob. A lot of players seem to be able to go the distance now. All thanks to all the opportunities, the heals, the med miss, the miss form, right? There's so many ways to do that.
Yeah, throughout the course of that game, I was even thinking to myself, man, placement points got to be huge right now. It was still 14 teams still up. Some of them is probably solos, some of them probably duos, but it's the miss form that is truly key. And it really showed, man, just heals, 2 med kits, maybe a med miss smoke can really change the difference between top 14 and the top 8. And that's where half of the placement points are at.
Yeah, well, clearly Oliver OG and team are going to be happy now. They're going straight to the grand. It's all up to the rest now to try to pull in a victory royale. Let's talk about the dynamic changes here really quickly. We're tearing into the next game. When you win, you are done. There's a new spot now that's going to open up here. So we'll see as we jump into game number 2.
With proven success from that drop spot already, Monster, we'll see if anybody is daring enough to switch it up. Already a victory royale. And I think most of the community thought Oliver, Blake, and Diego was going to make it in, but more so on the side of consistency. And when I have that in the back of my head, if I'm one of those teams that is in a contested drop, maybe I start to move my way over there. If not this game, probably games 3 or 4.
I mean, Aiden, Ham, and Carillion had high ground early. They were the first to take it, invested all their metal, and still raised themselves many layers above the rest of the teams. But somehow, some way, Oliver OG's team still managed to get up to high ground and contest them. And give them a run for their money. So it was, I think, really well fought for, right? And earned, honestly.
Yeah, and I thought more teams would probably be going for high ground. I think that's something we're going to see as the games do continue on. Only so many teams can survive down below, but back at the resistance base, a contested fight that we saw early on in game number 1 kind of settled in one direction, and already an early down is going to go on way of K, Boogeyman, and Quick, who won the fight in game number 1, and back-to-back eliminations as all three go down 2 games in a row.
Quick Pay and Boogeyman playing very well early game. They carried that into the mid game before falling before, so a lot of lessons to be learned there. Priscilla on Cavios and Bait, one of those first few teams, of course, looking to try to see if they can make their initial grands. This is contested, though. The standoff right now, but Priscilla caught off and out of bounds, essentially, there. Can't be on the other side of the trio. Your team's kind of playing the opposite. That was just a small misplay, right?
Yeah. I feel like I can almost hear the team comms. Why are you even on that side? We know it's a split drop, especially after game 1. The pilot's going through the same thing over at Lone Wolf. They know it's contested, but he's able to get the first elimination with the Spire, but it's only going to be a knock. 2v2 still going down with Larson, trying to steal some of these pieces away, find success in a short moment. Still has to be able to get this damage there. TK gets tagged up just a little bit. He's forced to back up and cower down as Larson does go down. That's a 2v1 situation now with him being last line. It's the same. TK was able to escape, but another third-party monster.
Yeah, but you can't miss those tags. Mafia techs now show up fast before TK can even really process what happens, it seems like. They're lucky. They have an inkling of where he is. Only knows so many options you can get to. TK hit for 90 and the finish there. And quick finish for them. All that momentum they built out of game 1 now deleted as they are forced to kind of play towards the later half of the tournament here. Only 5 games, Jacob. Losing one really sets you back, even on overall points as well.
Man, interesting to see, because that team that kind of pushed over towards Lone Wolf Lair, they were originally planning on going towards first order base, so either they made a quick rotation monster or they switched things up, which is working out for them. BJ Baloney at September 19th. Going up against a fight here, but even though you kind of see this full fight breaking down 3v3 from high ground to low ground, Turbulence going for a knock on the 1, you can kind of see on the outskirts of this fight a third party waiting for it all to play out so they can kind of take what they hope to steal away from the winner of this fight.
Interesting about this fight is, the first game we was able to tell very clearly the teams were deciding, maybe it's not worth finishing. This time, no. Much different story. They're pushing it through to the end, and then you have Boogeyman sneaking up right now. So for one team wide, looking to get into the next one. They've heard the shots. They see what's going on here. But it seems like the team's already hunting down the 1 solo left, and I don't even know what's going on right now. The 3-2-1 here, Jacob.
It's an interesting decision, too. A lot of strategy so far from the couple teams that we saw already kind of changing up, because in game 1, they won their off-spawn fight. They looted resistance base. The zone was relatively close, and they played the rest of the game at normal. They probably saw something throughout that course of the game 1, the contested fight going on over towards their west, and they're looking to try to take advantage of it. Nobody's rotating in that direction. I feel like for Boogeyman, Quick, and Pay, they just got to continue on with the rest of the game, just like they did in the first one.
Another team lurking right here. Oh, the missed shot. Can't miss those tags right there. That ambush foiled now. Sonic gets away. Power FN already has the high ground here, looking backwards now. Okay, Hyperson, Luck and Dog. I'm going to have to give this one up right now. Missed opportunities, big time right here. We'll come back around and check their damage later as the surge turns on. We'll see if we find them below. We'll know why. For Drizzy, Liam, and Madden, though, trying to make up for that mid-game fault that they had last time.
I want to say it almost seems like it could be a similar zone for the most part, even though it does have a little bit more of an eastern down towards Pump Power, maybe in Utopia. Naves gets tagged from 2 different angles, caught off guard in that split second, trying to heal up. Hopefully his teammates are there to alleviate some of the pressure. Alo's trying to do just that. Landing some shots And Brazzi down below. He has that ultimate high ground, and he's going to try to pressure these teams, allow for some time to Naves to actually heal up without the thought of any of that box. And nobody, in theory, this is such an isolated fight because it's kind of pushing in from Shogun Solitude just past Canyon's Crossing at the peak of this mountaintop where you have a launch pad as well. So there's not going to be any third parties rushing in to try to take this position or steal this fight away. At the worst, maybe somebody looking off in the distance. That's going to allow exactly what we're seeing here. A lot of flexibility for both of these teams to try to disengage off this mountain and rotate into the zone.
Funnily enough, though, both teams thinking the same exact thing, like, let's kind of give it up. Look, Brazil, Cinema, they still think the trio's up top, but kind of already done. Back to the Crime City, though. Power Blue, Zonda. Probably not finding tags off that surge base. Now they're saying, hey, whatever happened to that team that was in the city with us? They turn back and they find them. Hyper's just going to fall here, and their whole entire plan starting to crumble. Cake has a chance, though, to kind of turn this back around, turn this into a 2v2.
They get it done. That's the difference maker. It looks like he was going to try to hide, play hero when his teammate did go down, but him getting that knock kind of changed up the entire course of this fight. Now Blue and Power are looking at how are we going to save Zonda? How are we going to keep him into the game? Cake with another angle. He only has the DMR, so there's not a lot of pressure Cake can put down single-handedly.
Oh, the Lucky Dog's here, but no, shots from the distance. Going to kill every opportunity they had. Kind of turn this around, and Power gets a shield crack, and Lucky doesn't put the builds down. Oh, no. And then the team in the distance snipes one of them as well.
Unfortunate circumstances going down. This is the problem we talk about, especially one of those contested POIs. The third parties coming in for Predator's Peak, Luke, Phoenix, and Pandas. They're able to get the elimination over towards the resistance phase. And this is a team that didn't even land here initially. They went back towards the resistance phase, trying to get whatever loot is left on over, and they ended up landing against the team of Quick, Pay, and Peace. They get the elimination, and now they basically double up their loot.
Stood around longer than they should have. Look at that. Finish off the Pay, right into the box. Fearless for Venox. Remember Boogeyman and Pay, they had the trio elimination, and then they were trying to lurk, catching every team off guard, and instead, irony attacks here as they end up being a team ambushed on.
Back to the game plan as usual. Just going to take a quick peek. There's not too many teams contesting that island, so it's going to go uncontested. Agers, Acorn, and Pollo yet again. Following in the same blueprint of their game number one. They weren't able to get the win, but 17 eliminations, Monster. Another game like that, they might have top 5 locked and loaded, ready to go. Still got to play it out. On the other side of the map, you're seeing a fall from grace or an attempt at it. They're just trying to chop down the high ground, so that way it becomes an easier battle that they think they can take.
A lot of Matt's going to be there too, but he's at a second. We jump in with Tex. Hades and Mafia right now. Great shield crack here on the bait. Well, this team's got them cut off on the second layer too, but Mafia falls and find his shotgun of Montadios on the other side of the wall. Bait though. There it is, the exchange. Hades gets the follow-up, and there's the full finish. They're going to have to play for the Savior shortly because there's another team lurking nearby. Who's on now to perform here.
Please, Monster, you correct me. Anybody in chat that's watching, correct. Is this the most fighting we've seen in to start a tournament off from game 1 to game 2? It just feels like they're just endless. Teaks, Hades, they're the last alive. Mafia's not there. I bet you they got their reboot card, but they need to figure out a way to disengage. And it just got even harder because there's another third-party team moving in to try to close the distance. Teaks does go down, so it's all going to be up to his teammate, the last alive on their team, to try to get these cards and reboot them back into the game.
Yeah, look, it could contribute into the lack of cash cuts this season, right? Like we said, not too many set lobby chances to really get it in. So what you're seeing could just be the raw, unfiltered take at these games. Teams seem to be getting caught completely off guard left and right inside of the storms here. And then so many ways to push, right? You got all these dashes, misforms, and it just seems like confidence at an all-time high.
Then you add in stuff like this, the Madness Smoke, where it's kind of the entire team can carry a stack of two and make sure everybody's alive for so long. Bray is trying to escape, but he knows it's eventually going to be over. If he doesn't find himself with elimination, he did his best, but he's going to fall short of the marker. Luckily for him, though, just leaving the minimap on the Easter edge. You see Core just trying to escape. There is a launch pad there. There's a lot of different mobility in the game that we were talking about. So hopefully for him, he has some HP to regain, whether it's med kits, chug jug, or med miss smoke to try to get his team back in the game.
Well, nicely played for them. Jumping back to some of the big boys in the lobby. The vets here, Bugha, Freezing Threats, falling short last game in that end game. Again, 13th place with how much time alive they attributed to that round really shows the difference, the significance of misform, med miss, and all the other mobility items that you have available and at your disposal here. Now we're getting to see how the misform can be used for the WT as Bert Escher and Taki get a knock and immediately collapse in. Looking to burn that first misform there. Absolutely worth it. They secure the lead here. This is at the center of the Shining Span now.
This could be good control for them, too, depending on where the zone continues to move. There's no outskirts or edge of zone currently here at Shining Span. We have seen in Majors Pass 1 and 2, zone go over towards Shining Span. And whoever's the one that's brave enough to kind of claim the top of that bridge usually ends up performing well, as Wills just kind of get 3-2-1 by the entire trio. He's going to fall there and immediately use that misform to close his distance.
No one missed the shot. Oh, yeah. He's out before he can even react.
No.
Good finish, and you see him pass around the medallion like a hot potato. You get shield, and that's how a team like this, over towards Demon's Domain, is able to kind of make it far into the game. They're not forced to use a lot of their resources, so that way the minis, they're able to keep them longer and longer in towards the end game, where they make more of an impact, especially if you're taking damage pressure from all around. Just outside Lone Wolf layer, Turbulence, Amen, Lucky T, they're able to survive using every single resource at their disposal just in order to just get that revive. They do have the med miss smoke, but now is where they got to start thinking. The zone is pulling so far away of where they're currently at, all the way towards the eastern edge. They have to make that a focal point from here on out.
You get used to this surf loop here. I mean, you get a lot of distance out of this.
Mm-hmm.
Lucky's going to go ahead and looks like he's seemingly getting back to some old loot there, but I want to catch up with him in a second. Again, Taki gets to the safety first. Guard Havoc and Silic by the Kappa Factory. You see that stat right there. Silic and Jarlu both played their first FNCS finals last season, placing 21st. Let's see how much they've managed to learn in their in-game high-tier lobbies.
Those edge fights are now just out of Demon's Domain. Two teams currently battling out, 3v3. Electro and his trio versus Jackson and his trio, but there's a whole other one coming out of Demon's Domain and a solo player just towards the east. So the longer this fight goes, the harder it's going to be because they're using so much material, which you can already see they don't have a lot of. 3 points so far. That coming from eliminations in game number 1. That puts a lot of pressure on them to survive. So that way they don't have those mental kind of roadblocks throughout the rest of the tournament.
Both sides kind of poising up, looking for an opportunity with this low fire rate. Rifles here, not really giving them that quick advantage they're looking for. Jack's got to be careful though, losing the walls there.
Oh, so they kind of got blessed there in a moment. Zone didn't pull too far away. So they don't have too much distance to cover after this one's over. They're just kind of getting the map burnt away, trying to create some extra space. That's Jackson on that side. Smoss, Electro, Team Beast, they're just trying to hold their position here. They're feeling confident playing their game. They haven't moved too far away from where the fight actually started. That way they can run in and out of their builds if things get tough.
Yeah, Beast not happy with them kind of claiming that extra territory to play with. You see him inching his way in now. Might just be a matter of time before the surge goes and gives the update to the lobby. They don't know what they need to do at that point. G-Money Rising and Bees, they're on the move right now. At the center of the next zone here, got themselves a little bit of a position. Max material as well. There's that warning we talked about. No damage problems for this trio.
Looking back, that's kind of where two trios were fighting back there. One trio is going to be above, more towards the eastern edge. Smas, Beast, and Electro. And not out of zone just yet, but they're holding on to the high ground. That way, when that team rotates on out, they can try to get damage, but they became hunted by a whole other team, and they find themselves 200 plus below that damage threshold. And now they're feeling the pressure. They're feeling the timing on their back that they have to start to react here, because every 5 7 seconds, 25 damage when Storm Surge activates, and you don't want to just blow through all your heals this early in the game.
Not content with that low ground push they try to make onto ISIS trio there. It seems like too many other teams are starting to set up all around them. Gonna have to give that one up here. Doan's gonna pull past Utopia now. Meanwhile, Smas, I think the surge is gonna turn on here. They're below. We saw them kind of in that standoff. I think they were trying to feel out their damage, but you could see it. They did not have enough. Cinnamon gets collapsed on the aggression is real, but Beast falls first. Smalls there to back it up. Jats, Brazil, and City just hitting the shots that matter most.
See the still active surge. Smalls goes down to power. The whole other team. Both teams above the damage threshold, over 600. And a far zone pull going over towards Utopia, maybe even further. I hinted at Shining Span being a possibility monster. I didn't think it would actually go all the way over there. So I think about the teams that were already on that side of the map: Taki, Isha, Vert, Booga, Craze, Threats that lands towards Utopia. So if you were kind of here and hedged your bets, you've got to be one of the most better positioned teams in the game so far.
Oh, most definitely. And then look at that body of water, right? This is going to play a lot of dynamic in this end game here. It's going to start to influence these teams to start piling up on these outskirts here. It's really going to cause strong funnels. No threats, though. What happened here? Just Craze and Booga up right now. They're trying to keep a low profile, though. Notice they're kind of below this indestructible, cliff edge right here, keeping the tree up from the other trio, so they really don't want to attract attention right now. Seems like Booga and Craze are trying to play for endgame here. Almost strictly consistency. Acorn, Boyo, and Adrius doing somewhat similar, but they've got themselves their eyes on the prize for other teams. Look at this. They fall from below the surge now. They were 400 above just in the last zone. Really gets tagged it. This might be the signal to kick this off. There was only 2 teams, and here comes the chase.
Because of that medallion, they know exactly who's pushing them right now through the 2 situation. Boyo feeling more and more confident, but now Storm Surge is active. Around every 7 seconds, 25 damage will tick onto these players. And the kicker on top of that monster, they don't go down. You get straight eliminated by Storm Surge if it activates.
You see how good the misform is right there. Allowing Booga and Craze to actually escape and now rotate straight to the next zone there. Narrowly getting away from Adrius, Acorn, and Boyo, who are desperate here and now. You wouldn't expect a team this big to be under the surge here for game 2, but they have plenty of room to play with Acorn on the lead. They're looking to try to cut them off. Adrius trying to back him up. Oh, gets tagged in return there. Comes a misform. Acorn falls there, getting Reef for the damage. And still, even with all that, they're still underneath.
Pass around the medallion. Good play by Boyo. He dropped down the Metal Smoke to keep Adrius alive a little bit longer, but Storm Surge is just eating them alive. 33 below the damage threshold. Even though they've isolated this fight against that team that is going to be right below them, it has not gotten easier any step of the way through. 1 damage still below the threshold, and for now, Storm Surge will be activated. They got about 40 seconds to get above that threshold.
Nice. Boyo finding a knock right there. That's huge. That should be enough. He needs to get this finish too. And a 149. What a crack right there. Really showing you guys why Boyo is that guy. Hold up though. He's not done. There's the finish he's looking for. Okay, so they're right back in it like they never left here. Hold up. He countered and it comes through. No. Caught off guard there. Boyo falls. Storm's doing way too much damage. Adrius actually has to leave him behind. Jacob, this all goes downhill.
It's a real tough situation to be in, especially since Pollo not only had the medallion, but he had a bunch of HP heals as well, med kits.
Yeah.
The Medmus smoke, that was exactly what they needed, and the materials on top, you see how low on resources overall Adrius is. A couple of empty slots, and less than 20 builds overall. You're seeing the struggles around the lobby. Taki Ishao for much better position. They've been proactive throughout the course of this game, rotating south from their actual drop spot just to be first to every single one of these rotations. Seeing a replay of how they're getting all of that loot and more. They're able to get Hinox into the box. They clean that one up with ease before they go right back on and pushing out. Switch on
What a
the B, G Money, and Rise. Yeah, that was good.
I mean, just back and forth right now. We're really seeing the action pick up here for game number 2. Look at this. Another update. Adrius finding minis. Who knows where, but he's got something to work with right now. Couple charges left in the misform here. That's going to be the difference in him actually earning some extra placement point here.
Sneaking around, finally gets spotted out. He has no build, so he can't even really protect himself. So he sets his eyes in the sky. You hear the birds going around, and that's where in the back of his mind, are they chasing me? Are they not? It does look like Google and Prayers continue rotating straight forward in towards the zone. They don't want to take too many risks, considering they already lost threats earlier into this game, but they still are able to take down Adrius.
Full circle moment there for Buga. He's the one that finds the tag onto Adrius there. Misform to go and rotate out. More pressure coming through, even with no threats in the lobby. Through here and now, but VG Money and Rise are on the hunt right now. They find Craze. They wrap it up so fast there. And Booba can't misform out this time. He's going to have to fight for this one. Doesn't escape fast enough. Just like that, G Money, Rise and Avi get their hands on their first misform. Very big pickup here.
Yeah, Misform truly is going to be a difference maker, especially in the right hands. But for now, Crackley, Mikey, Rao, they're on the high ground. But we see Night Zone already from game 1. Just be a little bit too early for any team to feel safe, especially with the different mobility items in the game that kind of steal away in the blink of an eye. Where Taki Isha rotating towards the left side of the zone. They don't want to be on that ultimate low ground just yet. They know it's too chaotic down there. There's so many teams who can have it.
Yeah, if you're Crackley's team who's holding high ground, you've got to start pressuring these big ground leaders. Otherwise, G Money Rise will have a chance to take the high ground, but look at this. As I start talking about what is the next textbook play, Ral FN seems like they get collapsed on by Taki, Ishu, and Bert. You blink and you missed it. Now they are in control of things here, and they're really starting to push through. Look at the big find here. Bert with the recap. Now Matt's material. My gosh. They have everything they need to win this one here. Aiden Hound and Curly, though. Thinking about that last game and what went wrong this time. They say, no, we're going to play low grounds and mids. No need for Hype to shoot here.
A new misform. That's basically 4 edged charges. A lifeline there in the back pocket. That's a just in case. Is where each Taki. They got the high ground. Have not looked back. They continue to pressure every single team down below them. Does not want to let second Hype even think they have a chance, forcing them to burn through their match. As G Money, Rise, and B continue to dominate the low ground. 3rd elimination so far. They're trying to have that calm, cool, collected demeanor to make their way through the rest of this game.
20 players up here, 11 duos or trios, teams kind of mixed in this end game right now, and really showing you how much players are able to go the distance right now. One thing's for certain, though, high ground is big and chilling, and this is what happens when you get in zone. They have so much mats to play with. It seems like it's just favoritism kicking in for them, but Broken Void and King find another knock here, but no, lose a teammate in the process. The lobby's starting to look back towards them, and he tries to get a little bit of his teammates loot, but no chances, no time for it. And just like that, they're done and out. Aviv, G Money, and Rise starting to look good for them. Aiden and Hound as a duo playing very well here. There's the finish onto Liam. Misform here. Still has a lot of options to play with.
Fortunately enough, those weren't his actual eliminations, so no side for him to keep him alive. Blue's already down Zonda and Power trying to smoothly move through the low ground, but Power gets caught out at the tail end. Now Zonda can be left by himself. A battle versus Day on the other side, and the tables have turned from being aggressed on to trying to run away, but he's still going to go down. A bunch of these teams that we just saw in pool getting torn apart, stuck as duos, stuck as solos, but in the clouds right now. Taki, Isha, Vert, they have not been challenged. The Shining Span Bridge has been a huge thorn in every player on the low ground side.
Yeah, G-Money and Rise and a beat playing very well low and mid ground here. However, starting to run a little thin on the material count. They're going to all drop back into the storm here. Okay, very interesting play right now. Pop and Chug Jugs as a trio. Then probably looking at misform retake the high ground teams. Oh, here it comes. Things are going to get very interesting here.
Two full trios and the duo, most of them crashing down below on that low ground. Down goes Rise. Aviv is getting a little bit of redemption as he runs into 20 there. Great shot can be fired off, and 20 goes down as well. That's going to be a wipe onto that trio. But you can see up above, they've just been waiting for this. They let them fight. They used it as a distraction. Now talking for each other are in full control.
They were just too patient, taking their time, recognizing that they shouldn't jump the gun too soon, and this is a win waiting for them to claim right here. A couple of mats, though, are left. Misform goes on up. Bird has to get contested here. It's all going to come down to this smart fight for G-Money to take, but Bird finds the tag to win the game.
That is a big game for them. The zone pulled over towards Shining Span early on. That's where they picked up some of the first eliminations of the game, and they set up shop from zone to zone from there on out. Monster, they didn't even waste their time going for high ground in the 8th zone, not even in the 9th, but it was the 10th zone. They timed it perfectly, knowing that team up there was wasting all of their resources.
Storybook finish for them. You just can't emphasize the importance of that critical elimination at the Shining Span, giving them an abundance of material to play with, and then the zone pulling that way. It just doesn't get better. Get it from their perspective. I mean, it just looked like easy walk for them in the park here. And really, you got to give them a lot of credit. They played smart, slow, and steady, because you saw Aviv and Rise trying to time the retake, but Ishu, Taki, and Bert played the smart and had a lot of high ground there, giving them that distance.
And this is where G-Money tried to contest, but it was too little, too late. 17th finals for Vert, for Taki and Ishao. This is going to be their second appearance in the Major 3 Grand Final. Zeke, Kelly, Vivid, what do you guys think of all that action?
Guys, they treated this like a grand finals endgame, right? That's that sweet spot you want to be in when there's all this kind of chaos happening, different layers, people changing, jumping, dashing all over your screen. Being able to find that calm in the storm and really zone in and just play your game has led them to now from game one, right? They were 5th place going into game, right? We were kind of talking about them before we went to that break, like, oh man, maybe, though they're on the edge, like maybe they just gotta kind of keep going. Nah, they just turned around and said, hey, look, victory out. Let's just treat this like a grand finals lobby. Let's do what we need to do. And they come out with a win.
I mean, it was exactly what Jacob was talking about, where they saw the high ground around zone 9, right? Actually, what we're watching right now, and just saw just kind of how shambles high ground was. No one was really claiming it for their own. So they were able to take that high ground just a little bit late, and not just take high ground, but also take it at a very low zone, I should say, where they have a lot of opportunity to kind of get eliminations towards the mid ground, grab those refreshes, and then be able to hold high ground for the rest of the game. And then they kind of just waited for the rest of the lobby to get those eliminations. I know that a lot of people say high ground wins games, low ground wins tournaments, but for, the group stages, they don't need to worry about winning a tournament. They just need to worry about winning the game.
Yeah, I feel like everything Kelly just said right there could be, you could put more emphasis on that. Simply, being the fact it's like, oh wow, they took high ground early on, right? And we've seen some teams kind of fail to do that early on because it's just hard to maintain the materials kind of needed to do that. But again, we're talking about a team here that just made it to their second FNCS finals, right? 2 of the players on this trio. That type of win that we just saw is something that we kind of expect out of like one of our more experienced teams, right? Like maybe like Acorn's trio would have won a game like that, right? Especially early on in the game, in the day, game number 2. So this trio, the story seems almost too good to be true sometimes. Make it to their first FNCS final, last major, following that up with a game like that to make it into the finals again. They look good.
I've written the script too. Not a big deal. Anyway, let's go to a break. When we come back, only 3 games left to go before Group 1 closes. So stay tuned. You won't want to miss any of the action. Welcome back, everyone, to the FNCS. With 2 games down, we only have 3 left to go, but there's still plenty of action ahead of us. So let's talk about that last game, right? More chaotic than before, but still some amazing plays coming out. There was some hiccups along the way as well. We're looking at, Aviv and company. Talk to me about this last game. What might have gone well, maybe bad? What do you guys think?
I think that it wasn't necessarily bad for this trio. I think that they actually had a pretty good run through the mid game or the end game there, staying on the mid ground. They do a really good job with it. They're trios where they kind of stick to the ultimate low, especially when you're going over water. It's so risky to stay on that low ground. So they stuck to the mid ground. They were able to kind of get these little picks and eliminations here and there. But truly for me, it was the preparation that they had for the end game. They understood that they didn't have that many mats, so they need to make sure that they had a ton of heals for the end game. And that's what allowed them to survive close to the very end.
Yeah, I mean, how different are games 1 and 2 for this trio? Right, game 1, they were shambles, had low mats, 7 zone, had to keep playing aggressive, which led to so many eliminations for them in that game. And then we kind of tune in with them this game, and right, going into the end game, only 3 eliminations kind of in the 11th zone. Such a big difference. When we actually tuned in with them, I think it was around like 9 zone. They had 0 eliminations and plenty of mats. So played it completely differently throughout the middle game. Worked out perfectly. For sure, the most consistent trio right now.
Okay, I like that. Of course, because of that, remember, so if you look at those top points, right, 1,000 to 150, that just means it qualified, right? So right now, as we stand, Aviv, G-Money Rise, they're technically in like first place, right? Currently looking really good. We wanted to highlight as well 7th place, Aiden, Carillion, and Hound in that last game. Doing again, had the difference from game 1 to versus like game 2. These trios just really coming alive, right? Like I don't know if it's that pressure. Maybe it's just like first game jitters or like who knows. Maybe going into the first game, just like let's just see what kind of happens. But game 2 for this show, very very strong showing.
Yeah, especially with just kind of how weird that end game was. I do appreciate the fact that they were able to play it so well. And one of the there's only 2 players out of this trio that have actually made it into an FNCS Grand between Aiden and Hound. Carillion is one of the more green players that we have. So seeing him be able to kind of keep up with the rest of the players, although he did go down a little early, is definitely a great showing for the potential that he has going on into the future.
Yeah, also a way for them to kind of show off, hey, listen, first game we were going for the high ground, didn't necessarily work out. Let's completely flip the script in that regard and go for the low ground right now. Now, of course, sometimes when you are forced into a duo situation to try to clutch up, you do kind of force yourself down, right? You kind of sneak about. But yeah, speaking about trios kind of going down and forcing themselves into peculiar situations, Agers, Acorn, and Pollo kind of going down extremely early that game. But I do kind of go ahead and say, Zeke, that the fact that they went down early in game number 2 and effectively got like almost 0 points, they had a couple of eliminations, they're still in second place on that consistency leaderboard, right? It's just like one game. Like game 1 was good.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's like they could kind of have this game where we're against Surge and we're like just making plays, and you have games 1 where they give 17 elims in the second place. Like I don't know what's going on, but who knows? Maybe they'll just say, "All right, Zeke, we're just messing with you. Get a victory royale." We'll see. Game 3 is ready for us. So, casters, take it away.
Yeah, don't let those points confuse you, right? They won, so you don't really have to worry about them anymore. It does matter about who's consistent afterwards. Kind of using the EU as a blueprint earlier on today, it was 189 points to get into that top 5. Some of our teams are already close to that threshold, but others, there's still 3 games left. And I was kind of talking throughout the course of that game, there's so much action, not only through the end game, but throughout the entirety of the matches.
Yeah, with game 3 here, I mean, there's only a couple more opportunities for them.
Yeah, and hopefully, they really take it in stride. Acorn, Agers, Pollo, their team, whether they win the game or kind of continue through consistency. They have what it takes, only a few points shy. But I'm looking at so many other teams, and with the battle bus ready to go, this is the 3rd game, the halfway point. So let's get into it. Now, as I continue to kind of look down the list, it's rather stacked, from 8th place, 74, 72, 66, near difference. It's just a couple of eliminations. Staying alive from top 17 to top 12 could really play a pivotal role throughout game number 5 as we close out the day. But this is the halfway point, game 3. And so hopefully a lot of these teams really start to make these moments count.
Got to make the moments count. Every single game, earn you as much as possible, but hopefully pull that victory royale through. Again, and we talk about when you win the round, new draw spots open up, right? Teams get pushed out of the lobby, so there's less to worry about, which means you have more flexibility. If something doesn't work, maybe you can kind of adjust your strategy. Jump into the Flutter Frogs, though. King, Void, and Broken in that same standoff as before. This time it seems like Priscilla learning from the game 2 error there, sticking with the team now, opting to go and play the opposite side and then, kind of swing around, possibly rotate a little bit earlier here, give themselves a true chance for game number 2.
That's just the unfortunate thing is just kind of see the loadouts on one side from the other. Bunch of Sentinel pumps for Void, Broken, and King for the most part. Down below, it just kind of seems like a bunch of SMGs, ARs, kill switch revolvers. So it's not necessarily the best loadout from that split drop. The biggest thing that they do have on their side is the amount of shields that they do have, from minis to bigs, all of them effective 200 shield and HP.
Big moment right here, big opportunity. This is essentially the point in the tournament where you can still turn things around. After this, it becomes an uphill battle and really puts all the stress on pulling through with the victory royale. 13 like King, Void, and Broken. You've earned so many points. You just want to kind of coast to the end of the tournament at this point. Lucky Turbulence and Amen have to find something big here and now, but Lucky T gets crushed right there with the big tag. Baloney, BJ, and 919 finds himself for the first time in the early game, kind of on the back foot here. Again, this is a fight we've seen now for the last 3 games. It seems like the team to the north, is that K14 potentially coming down pretty quickly? Yes, it is in their team. Last time, they missed the chance to get the ambush. This time, they're coming even sooner.
They know they just can't let these damage opportunities, even if they don't get the eliminations pass. And Lucky T's able to get the drop on the 9-19. That's a quick elimination there. Just trying to wait, make sure his teammates are good before it all gets cleaned up as they pounce on the other two players that are going to be left alive. No good eliminations just yet. Here comes Payshake and Boogeyman. They close the distance in the blink of an eye, and now they have the high ground, which is a huge advantage in these types of fights.
Smart play here. Pay's going to go into this. A little risky for him, but gets the cutoff opportunity here onto Lucky. Now, looking for the sandwich. Pay playing the side angles here. Kind of the lurking opponent of this team here. Boogeyman, though, gets the first full hit there. Me trying to go around, not good. Locked up. Set back, and then Lucky, where are you going, buddy? It's over for him as well. As fast as it started, that fight concludes. To the south, though, TK's team seems to be hearing what's going on in the distance, possibly thinking about swinging on up. Meanwhile, Panda, Venox, and Lou come in. Blooded Frogs sticking to their strategy of coming through for fights, but this is the first time there's 6 players up still here. This fight never concluded.
Because the sewer tunnels underneath, it's not going to be easy for anybody to really get too much of an advantage in some of these fights, especially if they continue to drop down below. But I might have spoke too soon. Does look like Priscilla does get locked. That's Ian, gets cleaned up by Luke. Then move on over to try to get the rest. But all 3 of them back into the same box. Mafia, Shade, they're there as well. Their full trio is waiting on the other side of these builds, waiting to pounce.
Yeah, Mafia thinks he's not, spotted out there, but no, this team has clear awareness. Mafia might be the first to fall. He definitely is. Texan Hades now has to turn this one around. Nice cone up, but Luke slips out the box with a dash. Well timed for him. Meanwhile, on the low ground, Hades back against the wall. Look for Panda season. Doing a great job here fending off the team so far. They seem to be the better fighters, but not up too soon here.
It's actually perfect usage by the dash right there. He got his piece stolen away. He's able to dash, dodge the shot, stay alive a little bit longer. And this was a good opportunity for Teeks and Hayes. Even though they did lose their teammate Mafia, you have to know that there was so much damage there for them to clean it up. And that's why I liked how aggressive they were actually getting. But just a couple of seconds, it's all it took. They all kind of converged into the same box, make sure that they could heal up while a couple of them hold the pressure out. So that one's going to be a full disengage. Spokate goes down. Hypers and Luckin Dog, they're still going to be left up. They're going for a straight revive play to try to save their teammates. But look at Monster, their material count, they are very, very low on resources.
God, this is just bad news here. Trying to stick the res. I can appreciate that, but Liam gets in there. Why not get the re-knock for good measure?